you their side, but you just want the facts. And that's why you come to me. I give you the statistics without spin. Out of 116 million working age Nigerians, 35.5 million are employed full-time. That's 30%. I give you the context. I give you the history. I fight fake news with facts.
Kayode. No, Kayode, I will let you talk. Kayode, I will let you talk if you let me talk. Kayode.
That's why more and more Lagosians are tuning in. 500,000 Lagosians.
720,000.
970,000. Over 1 million Lagosians. They know that if you give me your afternoon, I will give you hard facts.
Well done, Sandra, on all you do, going beyond the headlines and focusing on the facts.
I am Sandra Ezekwesili, and these are your hard facts. First hard fact of the day, 11 confirmed COVID cases yesterday. This number is low, but bear in mind that it doesn't include Lagos numbers. We don't have those ones yet. I hope you've gotten your second dose. I keep telling you that I've gotten mine. The government keeps saying that a lot of you who got your first shot have missed your appointment for the second. Why nah? Waiting be the problem. I will always tell you that the vaccine cannot work at full potential until you get the second dose. Until you do get both, keep taking your precautions. Don't go out unless it's necessary. When you do go out, wear your mask, maintain your distance from people, wash and sanitize your hands as frequently as you can. That way we can keep ourselves and each other safe. Second hard fact of the day, 42,211. That's how many Nigerians applied online for their PVC in the first 24 hours. 42,000. Are you one of them? If you're not one of them, and if you don't have your PVC, what are you waiting for? Go to cvr.inecnigeria.org. cvr.inecnigeria.org. Once you get on there, you see a button that says Get Started. Then go to the section that concerns you. So they have a section for register afresh. They have a section for move your polling unit. They have a section for transfer. They have different sections. cvr.inecnigeria.org, and you can get registered today. If all 1 million Lagosians get registered, imagine what that could do for elections in 2023. That's the number of people who listen to this show, and they cannot be wrong. They can get COVID, though, if you don't get vaccinated. But that's not the only hard fact you'll get from me today, starting with the big three. Let's talk about LASTMA officials allegedly holding a bleeding woman hostage to extort money from her husband. Then let's talk about Governor Samuel Otom saying that the president wants to change the Land Use Act so that the federal government can impose grazing routes. And then let's talk about the Progressive Governors Forum supporting the presidency's plan to increase regulation of the press. On today's Glass Ceiling, we're going to talk some more about some men who insist that their wives should not have a higher degree than themselves. Remember when I brought you that story for the first time? We'll continue that conversation today. On Balogun and Broad, let's talk about how insecurity and other factors are affecting the food business. And of course, headlines will come your way, business news will come your way, sports updates as well, every hour on the hour. But right now, let's get right into the big three, Lagos. I'm Sandra Ezekwesili, and these are your hard facts.
This is the Big Three. The Big Three. On Hard Facts. On 99.3 Nigeria Info.
How can abuse of power by LASTMA officers be checked? How can abuse of power by LASTMA officers be checked? Is the federal government planning to amend the Land Use Act? And will the planned amendment to the Press Council Act succeed? Those are your big three. Let's talk Lagos. LASTMA officials extorted a man trying to get his bleeding wife to the hospital. That's our first story. This happened on Friday. And it happened to Jude and Sophia Eze. Sophia started bleeding, and so Jude was driving her to the hospital. LASTMA stopped them on the way because Sophia wasn't wearing a seatbelt. Jude explained to them that she couldn't wear a seatbelt because of her medical condition and that he was taking her to the hospital. He claims that the officials did not accept his explanation, that they insisted on impounding his car. He says he begged them to help him take her to the hospital and then they could impound the car. But instead, while he was talking to their Oga on the roadside, one of them got into his car and drove off with Sophia still in the car. That's when they allegedly extorted him for 10,000 naira, which he paid. He also claims that by the time they brought back the car, his passport, driver's license, and 150,000 naira in cash were gone. That's his claim. But that's not the end. Jude Eze did not let the matter die, and now senior officials of LASTMA got involved. Over the weekend, LASTMA's GM, Olajide Oduyoye, said that they were investigating the matter. LASTMA invited Jude to come to their HQ and identify the officers involved. He couldn't go on Monday because he had to take Sophia to the hospital again, but he went yesterday and he says he identified all the officers and that they confessed. He says the LASTMA bosses have promised to detain and punish them. So far, there's no new official comment from LASTMA on what's going to happen to these officers or the status of the investigation. But I really want to know your thoughts about what happened to Jude and Sophia Eze. I mean, it's not the first time we've heard reports of LASTMA officers allegedly extorting motorists, right? Now, on the one hand, you have those who are saying the law is the law. She wasn't wearing her seatbelt. She was breaking the law. She shouldn't have been in that car without a seatbelt. But then you have others who are saying that there has to be room for exceptions in emergencies. After all, she was ill, bleeding, and on the way to the hospital. And of course, there's the question of the extortion itself. Even if this couple had committed a traffic offense, nobody has a right to take money from them on the road. But like I said, we have lots of complaints that people go through this with LASTMA very often. So my first question is, the first thing I want to find out is how rampant you think this issue is. That's my first thing, because I try not to make any assumptions. There are some LASTMA officers around the Osapa, Elegushi area, and I've never seen them extorting anyone. They're always there. They're very helpful. Also along the Freedom Way area, all the way to Lekki Phase 1, So the LASTMA officers I've seen there are always quite helpful anytime I'm passing by, right? So I don't know. How rampant is this thing? This issue? Do you think anything can be done to stop it? Is there any realistic way to, monitor LASTMA officers on the roads? Is there a way to checkmate all avenues for extortion? Lagos, let's talk. Women, call me on 01465 7190. 01465 7190. Men, call me on 0700 993 993 993. 0700 993 993 993. What do you think about the story of Jude and Sophia Eze? Hello, thank you for calling us.
Hello, Joyce.
What's your name?
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
My name is Roland.
Hi, good to have you on the show.
Yeah, incidentally, I happened to be a victim last week, Thursday.
Oh.
So I was not in the car. I had skidded off. I went with my husband somewhere.
Okay.
And I asked my driver to bring the car. You know how the Apapa roads are on top of the bridge? The Jora Bridge and all that, everywhere blocked. You don't even know where to take whatever. Some people are taking one way, doing this, doing that. I should have thought that Lagos State government should come on removing the trucks from the road, or at least making them maintain one line.
Okay.
So that people who work in Apapa would be able to, whatever happened. Anyway, long shot, my driver followed those plying one way on the Jora Bridge. And was arrested.
Ooh.
And as soon as he was arrested, they went to Ijora, to Costain under bridge, where they claimed to stay with members of LASTMA and these other people, police.
Mm-hmm.
And they dropped the car there and said they were going for more raid. So while my driver was waiting, he was trying to call me. He couldn't call me. So he said, okay, let him rush down to the office to tell me. As soon as he came, we left all that we had to do, and my husband had to follow him. On getting there, Joyce, the car was no longer there. Looked for the car. It took 3 hours looking for the car. At a point in time, we concluded that the car was lost. But we got to Alausa and found the car there. The explanation that we were given were not valid. We were told that the guy plowed one way and his vehicle had been impounded and will be auctioned.
Mm-hmm.
Cutting the long story short, when you have a car worth millions, we paid 100. I wasn't there anyway. They paid 130,000 naira to release the car.
Okay.
Now, coming to the child that was sick. A child, I have an asthmatic daughter. You want to tell me that if I'm rushing her to the hospital and she's sick, I should apply seatbelt? These laws are not cast in stone. Are we not human beings? A child is bleeding and it's in the car, and you are saying the child was not putting on seatbelt. And then this attitude of entering into people's car and driving people's car off. What's the meaning of that? Don't they have a ticket? Don't they take pictures? They work hand in hand. In the developed countries, they work hand in hand with local government and all that, and vehicle registration. Give you a ticket. If you don't come to pay, they know where to get you. They search for the car, they get you, and then you face the law. Why always telling you when they get you, they say get down? You get down, and some people get down and they enter their car. That's an aberration of the law. Very, very illegal.
Thank you very much for calling. 99.3. Hello?
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
I'm Peter by name, calling you from Lagos.
Your name is?
Mr. Peter Olori.
Okay, good to have you on the show. Can you speak into your phone?
Yeah, I'm using hands because I'm driving.
Oh, I see. Maybe you should park so that LASTMA will not catch you.
No, they won't, because they won't. Now, let me just start saying that this is my first time calling your show.
I'm glad.
And I've been really listening to you. I've learned a lot from you. Not from many times I've been listening to you, trying to reach you. Now, go to the surface. It's last night, money.
Mm-hmm.
Let me just say, there was a time when some land was blocked. When people were always passing through Apongbon Bridge, you know that time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, some people pay hell of money for passing that road for once, because there is a lane called a DRC lane that I don't know if people portion because there is no maintenance on that lane again. It's not where it's DRC, everything is taken off. Now, the last man from Costain, so that's Ijoro Olomba, Son Nepa. There's two stop cars applying that road when there is a heavy traffic on that road. See a testimony for people up to date. There is a particular LASTMA is a man, black, always on that bridge. Now, it's not only LASTMA, again, police have joined there using bikes to block people. So the thing is much, my sister, is program being far suffer from this.
Is there anything you think can be done realistically to stop it?
The only thing I think that can be done realistic on it is by the Lagos State putting the rules to stop arresting motor on the road.
Thank you very much for calling. All right, let's take a few more thoughts. 99.3.
Hello, Sandra.
Hi, how are you?
I'm fine.
What's your name?
The issue of this last man, it happened to me.
Okay.
At I got Palace.
Okay.
That was a month ago.
Okay.
I was bleeding. I'm having this endometriosis.
Oh, I'm
So
sorry.
my baby was bleeding.
Okay.
And it was around 11:45 in the night.
Okay. Ooh.
My husband was rushing me to hospital.
Okay.
So and we took one way, and the one way is just from here to there. Police caught us and took us to police station. And I was bleeding. My clothes was stained. I was seriously bleeding. In fact, the police said that we should find alternatives. The DPO itself said we should find alternatives.
Okay.
So on Monday, they took us to Alausa.
Oh no, I really wanted to hear that story. Well, thank you for calling. We do hope you can call us back. 99.3, hello. Sorry about that. 99.3. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
My name is Kenneth.
Welcome. Your name is Kenneth?
Yes.
All right, good to have you on the show. Go ahead.
Okay, please, there is just one thing I want to ask. Because I think we ourselves, we don't really know our right when it comes to this last man job.
Okay.
I don't think it is a last man job to stop me while driving on my private car without wearing a seatbelt.
Okay.
I don't think it is their job.
Okay.
I presume it is the job of the road safety officers to stop me. Last man job is to maintain traffic on the road and not to stop me while driving without my seatbelt.
Okay.
I pray they don't stop me one day, because if they stop me, it's going to be something else. Have a nice day.
All right. Thank you very much. 99.3. Hello. Sorry about that. Call back if you can. Hello. All right. 99.3. Hello.
Hello. Good afternoon.
Good
Sandra.
afternoon. What's your name?
Blessing.
Hi, Blessing. Welcome. Go ahead.
Okay. There was this day, I think last month, my husband also was a victim of this last man and police issue.
Okay.
I was attacked on a Wednesday.
Oh.
He was going to work on a Thursday with the company car.
Okay.
Due to the fear of this robbery and all that, he said he wanted to ease himself, but due to the fear of these boys, he had to go to where he would see maybe police or an officer for him to ease himself.
Okay.
Only while easing himself, the driver was in the car. 2 last men and 2 police officers attacked the driver. They just jumped into the car and they were dragging the key with the guy. Only for my husband to come and explain to them that this is what happened to my wife the previous day. So I was looking for police protection so that I could win and without being robbed. But at the end of it all, he ended up paying 20,000. They took him to their office. He ended up paying 20,000 for him to be free, which is very wrong.
So in a situation like that, because you're also not supposed to publicly urinate, in a situation like that, what do you expect to happen? What do you expect LASTMA and the police to do?
But you are supposed to listen. They packed properly. So why will you just attack somebody like that and go into somebody's car without asking? This man is looking for a protection, and he came close to where you guys were. And what you could do was to jump into the car and said he's applying a one way, which wasn't a one way. People that are taking the one way, they did not arrest them. They arrested him and one other guy.
See, these are the issues, right? Because ordinarily, you're not supposed to take one way, right? The law is the law, right? But there are some circumstances that are, what's the word I'm looking for now? That that could make you the exception. That could make them treat you as an exceptional case, right? But it still doesn't take away from the fact that you have broken the law. You know what I'm saying? So it's a delicate balance to strike. It's a delicate it's a sensitive place to be in, because on the one hand, you're not supposed to take one way no matter the excuse. You're not supposed to break traffic laws. It doesn't matter what your excuse is or your excuses are. But on the other hand, you take the case of somebody who wants to ease themselves on the road. You're also not supposed to do that, by the way, because that's littering the public. You're not supposed to pee on the roadside. You take the case of Jude and Sophia, who are on the big three today, who had one of them bleeding, in the vehicle, and so they had to find the quickest way to get to the hospital. And then there's also there also has to be a more civil way. So even if LASTMA wants to stand on, the law is the law, ignorance of the law is not an excuse, blah blah blah, there has to be a civil way that they can deal with you who has broken the law. That doesn't involve them forcefully getting into your car, beating you up, attacking you, stuff like that. There has to be some sort of middle ground. I don't know. What do you think? I'll take one more call and now tell you what Samuel or Tom says about the federal government's plan to amend the Land Use Act. 99.3. Hello.
Hello, Sandra. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What's your name?
In fact, Kyle is my name. See, let me tell you something. Nigeria is a very, very... I don't know the word you use. I wasn't say upside down, but it's even worse than upside down. And I'll tell you why. You see, the government is fond of making laws that should apply in a society that is sane, a society that's organized. They will make laws that ordinarily should apply to such a society, whereas what obtains here is totally not like that. Now, you're having the opposite. You're having a situation where you have terrible roads. This morning, I almost had an accident. I left my house around 5 o'clock. There was no street light on the road, and there was a heap of sand somewhere on the road. I almost ran into it before I knew that I was there. Now, all this situation exists. There's insecurity. People are robbing you on deserted roads and bad roads, and then you now put law enforcement officers on the road to be enforcing laws. You want people to behave in the same way when all parameters around them is telling them to do otherwise. At times you have a ditch, you have on the road that it's not passable, and then you don't have an alternative but to go and pass one way. And at times even LASTMA, I have situations where LASTMA will pass you to say, okay, go and pass one way because this road is not good. And right in front, you have policemen arresting you for passing that place. And then, there's a place in Lekki Phase 1 on Admiralty where government gave some touts to be arresting people in Lekki there.
How do you know government gave them?
Yeah, because they told us that they are remitting 500,000 naira daily to government. In fact, it has happened to me around the country before. One of my riders, I have a logistics company. One of my riders was arrested for doing nothing. And when I went there and said, no, I want you to give me a ticket, I want to pay this money, the guy called me and said, see, the honorable in this local government that has been given the right to arrest people on the road and that he remits money to the chairman of that local government. And so what they do, I've explained it as the court, I've explained it as Bushi. What they do is that they give some people right to arrest people on the road. So you see a lot of touts on the road who arrest people because they are remitting money to government. So government cannot be using these things to generate revenue. This is it's an illegal way of, a very immoral way of making money by the government.
Coyote, thank you very much for calling. I do wish we had a lot of time to stay on this story, but you can still share your thoughts on it. You can keep calling in to share your thoughts on it. This second story takes us to Benue State, where Samuel Otom says the federal government wants to amend the Land Use Act to impose grazing routes. Otom is the Benue State governor. He's been one of the biggest voices against open grazing. Benue was one of the first states to pass an anti-open grazing law. The president, of course, has been advocating for open grazing and for reopening old grazing routes. But the governors have said over and over that the Land Use Act gives them control of the land in the states. So that means that the federal government cannot open grazing routes without state governors agreeing to it. But now Tom is claiming that the presidency wants to change that. He says that the presidency wants to propose an amendment of the Land Use Act to the National Assembly, giving the federal government power to allocate land for open grazing. Let me read you part of an official statement delivered by Otom's chief press secretary. His name is Terva Akase. And this statement says, quote, the governor stated that the attempt to review the Land Use Act by the presidency would not be acceptable by Benue State, as it was another attempt to grab land from the people for open grazing, pointing out that continued insistence on open grazing and cattle routes connoted a hidden agenda. Those advising the president are doing him no good because the president's insistence on open grazing will only bring chaos, anarchy, and lawlessness. Because for some of us, particularly in Benue State, there's no room for open grazing. So the Land Use Act is a constitutional matter, end quote. At this point, the presidency has not made any comment one way or the other about this plan, about any possible plans to push an amendment. But I want you to remember that both the northern and southern governors have condemned open grazing. Many state governments like Benue have already passed laws to ban it. And also at the national level, we have the National Livestock Transformation Plan, NLTP. This is a ranching program. It's not open grazing. It was approved by the National Executive Council, involving both the federal government and the state governments. Now, like Otom is saying, changing the land use system can only happen with a constitutional amendment. And that means getting at least 24 state houses of assemblies to pass the amendment, each with 2/3 majorities. Now, if the governors are mostly against open grazing, do you think that such an amendment can happen? Then there's also, what's the word now? The question of what the Nigerian people want. Do the majority of Nigerians, I don't know, do you think that they oppose or support open grazing? And if majority of Nigerians oppose it, should the presidency be pushing it so strongly? If Nigerians support it, why are governors resisting it? 0700-993-993. Men call me on that number, and women call me on 01465-7190. If you heard our first story where I told you the story of Jude and Sophia Eze, call me and tell me what you thought about that story as well. Do you think there's any realistic way to monitor LASTMA officers on the roads? And for those who say, oh, it's not LASTMA's duty to talk to me about my seatbelt, it actually is, because LASTMA's job is mostly making sure that road rules are enforced. They've been given the authority to enforce road rules, and that includes seatbelt rules. But they've been given that authority to issue fines, right? Not necessarily to attack you and get into your car. So talk to me about, realistic ways that LASTMA could engage with the public. What do you think can be done to stop this extortion? Is there a realistic way to monitor these officers on the roads? A way to checkmate all avenues for extortion? So 2 stories so far. Let's hear your thoughts. 99.3, hello.
Hello.
How are you? What's your name?
Yeah, my name is Agwoma.
Welcome.
I'm coming from Bagada.
Good to have you on the show.
Talking about LASTMA, I think when issue like this arises involving LASTMA, there should be a court that will determine the extent of punishment and not the LASTMA itself. There cannot be the enforcer as well as the interpretation of the law too. Secondly, there are situations that
but we already have mobile courts.
Those mobile courts, I have attended one of the mobile courts, and what I was told that you cannot appeal. The law ends here.
Right.
So, which I love. It's not supposed to be so.
True.
You can appeal even to the Supreme Court, but they will tell you cannot appeal here. But that notwithstanding, it was resolved amicably with me and them.
Okay.
So, but they said you cannot appeal. But I think when common sense came down on them, I was allowed to go. Secondly, this issue of one way. Now, you know, LASTMA will tell you are driving one way. If there are no demarcation of the road, there is nothing like one way. For instance, if you have a single track road, where possibly I can overtake another vehicle, or I can a car is parked, I can overtake it. So there is no reason of one way there. So, but when they see you riding what may appear the opposite direction of the oncoming vehicle, they will say you are driving one way. It's absolutely nonsense because you cannot be accused of driving one way there. All they need to do as managers of the road is to say, please, they'll flag you down, please enter the road. They can help organize the traffic.
Right.
Yeah, not to impound your vehicle on the reason that you have you are driving one way. You cannot. One way does not apply on such roads.
Okay.
Talking about the presidency, now the presidency have to come to understanding that what matters in every policy making and administration is the people's choice. You are elected by the by the people, and you must heed to their needs. You must heed to their preference. And now, he is not put there to only talk something concerning cow and herdsmen. If the people have said there shouldn't be an open grazing, that ends the story. Of course, you know, we have a president or presidency who can go to any length to create a law or even make a law that is not popular.
Right.
For instance, they can use EFCC to hold on to legislators to sign what ordinarily is not unsignable. You have heard it many times. People say if you join APC, that is why people are moving to APC. If you join APC, your sins are forgiven. This is a very ridiculous way of knowing a political party and an administration. So I want to appeal to the president to come to the level of the people that elected him. Reason with them, understand their plight. You can I don't know what the nation have driven in terms of tax payment from cow heading and all whatnot as compared to other business activities that goes on in this country. How far have the president talked about the traders, the mechanics, and all whatnot that are also under his constituency? So it's not an administration for the cow, by the cow and all those kind of things. And these people that are rearing this cow are not, he has said it before, many of them are not from Nigeria. So why are we ceding our land for people that are not indigenous?
Thank you very much for calling. 99.3. Hello.
Sandra, good evening.
Good evening. What's your name?
Adania is my name.
Hi, Adania.
Sandra, please, when you said we need to know how to deal with the LASTMA case, much as I may not like the way LASTMA operates, the policemen, I'm not their friend, their favorite, they're not mine either. But for me, there's no excuse for breaking the law. If you just want to stay away from them, just don't. It's an eyesore seeing people drive recklessly on the road. One way is the worst. It's an eyesore seeing a man. They say women dress, the level of indecency is out of this world. It's irritating to see a guy on the road. I try to see a properly dressed man, and he's just there doing his thing. I always marvel. I'm like, what gets into their head to make this person do this kind of thing? There are eateries, there are places you can stop. Now, about the LASTMA case, I'm not. There's always the Judas in every 12.
Right.
I remember when I came to this town newly, I didn't know anywhere. So for me, just not to get trapped. Each time I got to a point where I'll see them, I'll just clear by the side, very close to them. I'll say, I'm going to so place. I don't know where I'm heading. Can you help me? Several times. One will opt to enter the car and take me to a safe point where he will now show me the route. Then another person will just give me a vivid direction.
Okay.
And that means if you stop close to them, I always took my time. I'll just say, okay, I'll clear there where they are and say, please, this is my predicament. I don't know where I'm where. I need to know. That's why I can't get a driver. I need to know where I'm heading. And they were always gracious enough to help me. So when they say they are not helping, I find it difficult. Even in this present age, several times I've had to miss my way. I get close to them. I'm like, please, where is this place? I always feel safer asking a LASTMA guy, where is this? Rather than asking a random guy on the road, they will tell you, go down, see the other umbrella. And you just generally get lost on the way. So for me, in their defense, they have been helpful to me, to be honest. They have been. Yes, that's me. Okay. Then on the cow thing, like the last guy said, I think we are running a government for the cow by the cow, That's exactly our own democracy. When people don't want something, you enforce it. It's not a military rule. It's not. We have other forms of business going on in this country. Why is it just about the cow?
Thank you very much for calling. Oh, Adana, I think I caught you in the middle of a speech there. We've got messages here. You didn't leave your name, but you say the only way to resolve the issue of LASTMA officials bullying road users is to set up sting operations whereby volunteer members of the public who are proven to be responsible go around and monitor them in private vehicles, and where they err, they are immediately tried themselves and fired if found guilty by the same courts that they take road users to. That will check their excesses, but all the same, the law must be respected. Thank you very much for your message. Sandra, what will happen to the LASTMA official that drives without seat belt? Because a lot of them drive without seat belts. Who will arrest them? That's a message from Tommy. Tommy, thank you very much for your message. We've got Don Kingi, Jodu, who says the federal government is playing smart with this open grazing. If they need at least 24 states to support the bill, then the push for more governors to be in the ruling party is beginning to make sense. The southern and middle belt governors should better watch it. These people fighting for open grazing are bent on achieving it and are working towards it, since it could not be achieved by the use of guns. Why would they want to cede the lands in the country to herders who don't pay any form of tax to the state or federal government? It's appalling. As for LASTMA, no matter what we say here, they are empowered to misbehave on the roads towards generating money for the state, just like NURTW. Don Kingi, thank you for your message. But Don, you remember, of course, that one of the loudest voices against open grazing is Governor Keredolu of Ondo State. And Governor Keredolu of Ondo State is an APC man. In fact, he's one of the top dogs in the Progressive Forum. Speaking of the Progressives Governors Forum, they want more regulation of the press. That's our third story. The PGF is the forum of APC governors, and they had a meeting this week where they talked about the ongoing plans to amend the Nigerian Press Council Act. And the APC governors say that they support stronger punishments for newspapers, media houses, and journalists. They said they want, quote, strengthened legislation, strategies, and action plans with consequences for media abuse and misinformation, end quote. Now, bear in mind, there already are punishments for misinformation. We often talk about libel and slander laws. Quite frankly, I'm tired of talking about libel and slander on this show. Basically, if a journalist or newspaper or radio or TV station tells a lie about a person or the government, they can be sued. And if found guilty, they can be fined. Also, under the Anti-Terrorism Act and the Cybercrimes Act, if they publish a lie that destabilizes peace and security, they can actually be tried for a crime. So the big question is, since these laws and penalties already exist, are they not good enough? And if they're not good enough, what new penalties do they actually want? What new regulation do they want? Because that's what this amendment to the Nigerian Press Council Act is about. By the way, we're going to be discussing it on the Big Hard Fact next week Tuesday, so that we can give you more details. But like I told you on Monday, the current draft of the amendment wants to give the Presidency and Information Ministry sole power to select the board of the council. And members of the press community are against this. Stephanie Williams from Premium Times Center for Investigative Journalism wrote, it's an attack on the independence of the media. The board should be a composition from various media and other relevant stakeholders, not appointed by the federal government or the Minister of Information. There should be some form of autonomy, end quote. Also, the amendment would give the council the ability to determine whether a piece of news is misinformation or not, and to punish the journalist or publication. A council selected by the federal executive. And that's why a lot of journalist groups are saying that this amendment will turn the entire Nigerian press into a department of the government, into NTA. But that's what the APC governors think should happen. So you've heard what the APC governors think. You've also heard what the press thinks. Now I want to know what you think. Should the federal government have more power to regulate the press? Or do you think its current powers are enough? Women, call me on 01465 7190. 01465-7190. Men, call me on 0700-993-993-993. We've got WhatsApp 080-959-75805. Hello, thank you very much for calling us.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Good afternoon. Good evening. Good night.
How are you?
I'm very well.
Yeah, let me just digress concerning the cattle header.
Mm-hmm.
They don't want to spend a dime to feed their animal properly. And the Ministry of Agri is not helping matter in telling them the modern way of rearing animals. So they just there receiving salary. What's the purpose of the Ministry of Agri? Agri is supposed to feed the nation by establishing farms. At least the whole state of Nigeria is supposed to have a farm settlement. Each state, at least if not each local government, each state should have farm settlement, as did in Bendel State before by Ogbemudia. And that farm settlement is still there now. You know, all those cash crops they planted, they are still reaping it. You know, I don't see reason why the educated person as regard to agri and the modern way of farming cannot enlighten others. What is the purpose of education? So as regard to LASTMA, you know what they did? There is a place at Ikoyi Club, that road going out toward the NNPC petrol station. They say that place is one way, but they refuse to put the signboard on coming vehicle to see it. Okay. They put it inside the road. Okay. So when my trailer passed there, immediately all of them rushed come. They went and gathered at the end of NNPC. I said, what's the matter? I said, it's one way. I said, where is the signboard? They show it at the road when going inside. How can the oncoming vehicle know? And it's not a divided road. You know, so they are just there extorting money. They took us to one corner and took 7,000 from the driver.
Okay. How do you think a thing like this can be checkmated?
You know, I really don't understand. There's some people supposed to go according to the job they are being paid for. So it be like they are not even paid at all. It's as many vehicles they catch, they get their commission.
Thank you very much for calling us, Lagos. The next 15 minutes of this show is brought to you courtesy UNICAF. UNICAF is a leading online education institution. And what they do is try to provide you access to globally competitive schools in Europe and America so that you can get different degrees. This time around, they're offering MBAs. And they've brought you the last 15 minutes of today's Big Three. Let's hear from them and then we'll take a few more of your calls. Don't go away.
Are you ready to invest in your future? Explore endless opportunities with the exclusive
situation like that. Government already failed us, which is why I was doing what I was doing. James from Aja, thank you very much for your message. 99.3, hello.
Hello.
Thank you for calling. Good evening.
Good evening. This is Wisdom on the line.
Wisdom, welcome. Go ahead.
Yes, I want to talk about this UNICAF of it.
Okay.
The last time you did it on file, the last time you did it, so I tried to call your number. When I call your number, and a certain number called me. When they called me, I thought that this thing was a scholarship, right?
Mm-hmm.
But they demanded 1 point something million naira for me. I was like, I think it's partially lifted or partially.
It's a partial scholarship, yes.
Okay. So I now tell them that I cannot afford it. So I was surprised about it.
Okay. Yeah, it's a partial scholarship. That's what they're offering. But
I don't know if they demand 92,000 answers from me. I was like, I didn't have the money, so that's why I now lock up. I wanted to confirm if this is true or not.
yes, it's a partial scholarship.
All right.
Okay. Thank you for calling. Thank you. And we're glad you called the number. You see, if you put your business here, you're going to get people like that guy who call you. 99.3, hello.
Joyce, good evening.
This is Sandra. What's your name?
Sorry, Sandra. This is Pastor Ladipo calling from Orule Gomo.
Welcome. Go ahead.
Let me quickly talk about the last man issue.
Mm-hmm.
I was a victim in April.
Okay.
You know, that's my 2 road. Coming from Okota, trailer blocked the whole place. I was trying to return back to Okota. These guys jumped out from their corners where they were hiding, and they said it's one way. I said, I'm going back before I say Jack. They asked me to come down. One young guy entered my vehicle. I had to rush him and enter the car. I said, where are we driving to? He just drove off, took me to first gate. At the end of the day, I parted with 16,000. Now, the best way to stop this thing is to withdraw all the policemen they gave them with gun. They will behave well. I'm telling you. The reason why some of them are so powerful is because of those policemen they gave them with gun. You need to see where some of those policemen are acting. Now, for them to stop this nonsense they are doing, let them just withdraw the policemen given to them. They will know that they are civilians like other people. That does not give room for ones to break the law. Are you getting my point?
Mm-hmm.
But the most important thing is their main purpose of being created is for them to ease transportation and ease the traffic on the road and direct people.
Also enforce traffic rules.
Thank you. That enforcement now is when you now break the law of that traffic rule.
But if you're not wearing seatbelt or you're taking one way, you've broken the law.
Like the case of this person taking the wife to the hospital now is an exceptional case.
Okay.
Are you getting my point?
Okay.
So that is it. The best thing they can do. You know, they have not turned to revenue generating agency. Go and see what LASTMA are doing. I have an experience last week. I'm telling you at Ikmori here.
Okay.
And the guy was lying on my head instantly there. And they collected 20,000 naira. You see, some of these things, in Nigeria today, an average person is an extortioner.
Thank you very much for calling us. We've got Tony Omon who says, planning to amend the Land Use Act, all for the sake of grazing routes. We just have to embrace true federalism. We cannot continue like this. These people should not dictate how an Edo man should live. Oladosu Benga says, let Lagos governor rise up to duty over this LASTMA. Let the agency be sanitized. Let the bad ones among them be flushed out. Let there be sanity in LASTMA. Let their job description be made known to members of the public. All right, we've got messages coming in via WhatsApp as well. So let's take a look at some of them and then you'll hear from UNICAF. Sandra, my name is Stephen from Apapa. These governors who call themselves progressive governors are not progressives at all. Every time they want something to favor them, they hide under the law. This plan to gag the media will not work. Alex from VI says, I find it amazing to hear that LASTMA is not profit-oriented venture. That is not a profit-oriented venture is given a target. Even in law, there are considerations. Even BRT lanes are supposed to be usable for motorists with visible emergencies. Some of these LASTMA officials are just a bunch of mischief to both the government and the people. Dismissal should be their punishment in this very case. Alex, thank you very much for your message. Sandra, good afternoon. For crying out loud, why is this regime leaving images and focusing on pursuing shadows? Sandra, do you know how much tax school, company, industries are paying to Nigeria? Open grazing or crazy, are they paying taxes to Nigeria? If this is why the president is luring people to join the APC to support the grazing, it won't work. Again, let me point you people to the chairman of the Progressives Forum, who is El Rufai. Also, we have the governor of Ondo State, Akeredolu, who has been very, very vocal against open grazing. So that excuse no follow. That opinion no follow. But hey, something that really follows is getting an education abroad, huh?
Yep. And not just any kind of education. UNICAF, a leader in online higher education,
show today. What answers do you have for me? Hello. Hello.
Hello, Auntie Sandra.
Thank you for calling. What's your name?
My name is Peter.
Peter, good to have you here. Go ahead.
See, this last man was the case. You see, it's Tinubu that caused all this. They are not members of the armed forces. Their job is just like we call them yellow fever. It's just to ease the traffic. What kind of doing? Somebody will just drive your vehicle, come down. Which is not good now. I don't please, may I know? Because the government still listen to this program at all?
Yes, they do.
Oh, God Almighty. Auntie Sandra, thank God, this is the first time I'm calling you. At times I would like to call, but because I'm a healthcare person, I don't want to say something that way. You see, it's annoying. It's annoying, Auntie Sandra. If you go out, you see things yourself. You look. Oh God, what sort of country is this? For God's sake, It's wrong now.
All right. Thank you for calling. You know, the funny thing, I've been lucky with LASTMA. So my experience with LASTMA has been very good. Again, like I'm always sending a shout out to the LASTMA officers who work at the Osakpa Jakande area, the ones at Freedom Way Junction, the ones at Elegushi Junction as well, because they're always there. Come rain, come shine, they're there on the roads, they're doing their work, and I've never seen them. I'm talking like personally now. I've never seen them harass anybody. They've never harassed me. They're always very helpful. They're always very patient. People are even trying them, but none of those gra things that LASTMA people are always accused of. So in my experience, they've been kind, and professional, So how do we ensure that those ones I see on the Lekki Ekpe axis, these places I've mentioned, how do we ensure that those ones are, the same ones that you see everywhere, that's the model for all of them, regardless of what part of the city that they are in? That's the main problem there. It really is. It really, really is.
Are you ready to invest in your future? Explore endless opportunities with the exclusive UNICEF Scholarship Program. Choose from a wide range of master's degrees from prestigious British universities. Study online. Balance education with family and career growth. Extra benefit, a customized payment plan to make it even easier for you.
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info.